Welcome to Discovering. Tonight, we'll travel to Perkins for a look at farming of a different type at Superiorland Ginseng Farms.
We drove about 600-700 miles down to Lower Michigan and back, and by the time I got back I was a ginseng farmer.
Stick around, it's Monday night and time for Discovering.
The secret streams that flow beneath the cliffs of colored stone, forests thick and healthy with birch and pine and oak, surrounded by the greatest lakes this world has ever known. The black bear's awesome presence as he roams the hills and fields, call of the timber wolf, the loon's lonesome trill, the eagle soaring high above, the trout lies deep and still. These are what I treasure, the only way I measure feelings that I have for this fine land. There is so much to discover when you're a long-time lover of northern Michigan.
Ginseng has been used in traditional Chinese medicine for centuries. It's one of the most popular herbal remedies with a multitude of potential health benefits. I met up with the Lordsons at their ginseng farm in Perkins to find out what it takes to be a ginseng farmer.
And these are the berries we picked in the ginseng patch. And generally just two seeds in each berry, and that's what the seeds will look like. And then we depulp them with stomping with our feet and rubber boots on this slab over here until we get all the pulp out of them. Float them out. We put them in screened in sand boxes for a year. Bury all the boxes. They're 1/8" screens that use clean washed sand. And then we'll put nail a screen on top of them and bury them in the sand for a year, and we'll pull them out next fall and float them, and that's what we'll be planting with next fall. This is our drop planter here. We plant at about 120 pounds to the acre. And it all depends how fast you go with the machine and how many pounds you put out per acre with that machine. It'll plant 12 foot at a time. We start off when we harvest the berries, and you bury them for 1 year, and we plant them the next fall. And then it's going to be a process of 3 more years to harvest them as 3-year-olds. But it actually takes a 4-year process before you're ready to harvest. There's about 1.25 acres here. We have a bed plow that makes these raised beds because you want the water to shed away from ginseng. They don't like to be wet. We put about 3 inches of straw mulch on them and box it in, and they should be up next spring. And then we'll put the roof on it first thing in the spring before they come up so they don't freeze. We just planted this crop here about 2 weeks ago, and we won't put a roof on them until next spring. And we'll put 12-foot riders on top of this, cedar poles, and then we'll set them panels up on top of that, wired down. And then in the fall time, we'll have to stack them up for the snow load, 3 high, over top of the posts. And then in the springtime, we'll have to set them all back down and rewire them. And they'll stay like you do that every year. And if the roofs are still good yet, they'll be going on a new garden. The roof panels will last about 12 years. These are our 1-year-olds, and they're starting to turn in for the year. They start to yellow up and turn their colors just like the maple leaves do. So it won't be too long, and we'll be stacking these roofs up for the winter, and then the tops will freeze out, and they'll go dormant till spring. And they'll have another bulb on them that'll come up in the spring. This is a 2-year-old garden. They will be harvested next year, and these are our 3-year-olds here, which will be harvested this fall. These are 3-year-old ginseng roots. Sometimes they're hard to dig out. This is a pretty good size root here. They grow in all shapes. And it'll have usually a bulb on it for the next year's. That'll have a top on it for next year already. And you can see there is some berries on them, which we might pick a few of them, but it's very labor intensive too, because we hire people to come pick the weeds all summer because it's all hand weeded. And the dandelions are hard to pull out too, and sometimes you don't get the rut. We put these wood roofs on for shade. Ginseng likes about 25% sunlight. also to keep the frost out in the spring. And then we'll roll them up to give the patch air. We do have to spray these about every 10 days with fungicides. The ginseng's very susceptible to diseases, different diseases. If you don't spray the fungicides, you ain't gonna have no crop. We used to have a lot of problems with deer, and so we started just fencing in everything. And as we spray, I gotta take all these fences down and roll them up each time. They'll come in here and stomp everything, and they'll eat the plants, bed down in here, bring their fawns in, you know, and it's tough to keep the deer out. You have to fence it in. Here shortly, we'll have to take down the whole roof and push all the mulch off, and we dig them with potato diggers. And we'll pick all the roots up in buckets and put them on a wagon, and from there we wash and dry them. A lot of labor involved. This is what we use to take the mulch and the tops, all the ginseng tops off of the beds in the straw down to the dirt before we bring the potato diggers in. We push it out with this and hopefully not push any roots out with it.
I got a son that decided one day when he was riding with me we were going to get in the ginseng business. We drove about 600-700 miles down to Lower Michigan and back, and by the time I got back I was a ginseng farmer. I purchased a hell of a bunch of ginseng seed. Knew nothing about it, but now we're in the ginseng business.
We're digging the ginseng here. We've got to keeping the roots out of the ditches so we don't lose them in the ditch. And the crew is picking them up with the buckets and loading them on the wagons.
Yeah, when we first started, we knew nothing about it, and we bought enough for a quarter acre of seed for a quarter acre to plant. And then we didn't really figure out the quarter acre right, so we planted way too much seed per acre. So we ended up with long, skinny roots that was they bought them, but we didn't get the price that we wanted for them. But that's how we got started. And then we had to dig them by hand with the pitchforks, and then we had to wash them in a bathtub by hand, and then put them in our garages and dry them, which we didn't know nothing about, but we made it work. And we've been learning ever since. But the guy that we bought out in Marquette, Ted Balzerini, we bought all his equipment out and he helped us get going. And another friend of ours that we accumulated from down at Marathon City down there, Laverne Ferger, he was a really lot of help to us. Helped us get started, helped us in a lot of ways. He drove up here one time all the way from Marathon City up here in the morning and told us what was wrong with our roots and turned around and drove back home. That's what kind of a friend he was. He just knew just by looking. He didn't even go in our patch. He just looked over the edge and told us that we had pythium and what the chemicals to use in combination to cure it, and took off in the truck and away he went back home again. But he sure helped us a lot, man, that guy, wow. But we've planted a lot of ginseng. We started out with a post hole digger. Was the worst thing that we ever got in our life. And for digging holes behind the tractor, and sometimes you hit a rock and it would throw Joe for 10 damn feet through the air and pretty much kill him. But we get up, we kept planting posts. You have to, every 12 square feet you have to plant a post. Driving, now we have a driver that with Joe and I, we drove as far as high as 150 posts per hour. In 1 hour, we'll drive 150 posts. He's that good at it and that fast. To learn to know the soil before you get into ginseng. If you don't know the soil, you must just stay away from it, because if you don't have a sandy loam and the right slope, it won't grow. You can't make it grow. You have to know the right chemicals. Ginseng is a very touchy, very touchy. We start early in the morning, we work till late in the evening every day, 7 days a week in the summertime. In the wintertime, we think it's hours, but it's not so. There's always, you have to make roof sections, or now we have a bandsaw mill that we saw all our 1x3s with. Labor intense, very, very, and tractor and machinery intense. We have tractors that we use 1 day a year, you know. We have 5 Farmall B tractors. 2 of them we keep for parts, and 3 of them we use. And then we have a Ford industrial tractor that we use for making the beds with, and then we have 2 of these whites for digging, and then we have a Ford with a high-speed, low-speed transmission in it for doing the heavy work. And then we have a skidder that we use for loading the riders and the pulps and stuff and moving them around. It's just non-stop to buying equipment. If you want to work steady 7 days a week, get in the ginseng business. If you don't, if you want some time for yourself, don't get in there. We used to own a hunting property at the eastern end of the UP, but we had to sell out because with the last 3 years we owned it, we never seen it. We had over 220 acres up there, never seen the hunting cabin. Nice cabin with sauna and everything on it. We built ginseng instead, but you couldn't go hunting until you got done with the ginseng, which was about 2 or 3 days left of deer season. By then, you're in the ginseng business. Not good. When we're washing, we just shovel them in the one end, and that washer takes care of them then from then on. As they tumble down through, they're washed and come out in the tub and then run off the elevator and try and pick the bad ones out, you know. Just some of them roots have way too much rust on them and they're hard to sell. You can take them and sell them separately for like $5-6 a pound, you know, but these ones here we're hoping to pull 30 out of, so it's a big difference, you know. We got to know what we're doing down here or we're going to be in trouble when we take them to market, you know. They have to be just a little dirt on them. They don't want them too clean. And normally we have a buyer from California that comes and gets our roots every year. We're fortunate that way. Very seldom have to worry about selling them. They're only ginseng farmers that there is up here. Now they've got so much disease in Canada that they're getting the hell out of there. They can't grow roots in Canada anymore, and they don't have the quality that our roots in Michigan and Wisconsin does. Wisconsin and Michigan is noted, especially Wisconsin. You go ask any Chinaman any place and they'll tell you the ginseng capital of the world is Wausau, Wisconsin, Marathon City. We go down there and we tell them our roots is way better than yours, and we give them a lot of crap about it, but they'll buy Michigan roots faster than they will Wisconsin roots. It used to be that they wanted the biggest roots that they could get their hands on, but now they want the smaller roots now. The little tiny ones, that's what they want. They go from one to the other. That whole country down there just grows roots unreal. The limestone is real close to the top of the soil up there, and that ginseng just loves it. Just loves it. Well, that's what back at the next farm we're digging back there, there's lime in that ground, a lot of lime in that ground, and stone close. So we get a better product back in the next fields than we do out of these. Way better product, bigger roots, you know. When they're washing, they come off the elevator into the pickup trucks and then take the pickup trucks up to the garage, the drying garage, and they're all put on racks in there, so many buckets to a rack. And then from there, when they get dry, when it takes normally around 9 days, it'll end up around close to 100 degrees in that garage, and with the right fans, and Joe has got that down to the most. I mean, he's the best at the dries. We always have perfect dries, and they'll take one of them roots and snap it, and you can see by the rings and the green or whatever's in there that they know how good that dry is. And if it's not a good dry, they really don't want them, you know. They're going to pay you less money. But he knows exactly what he's doing with that furnace up there, how to adjust it, the intake and the outtake. You know, you have to set them both together.
This is our drying process, and we start off with 100% outside air with our furnace. And once we get to 50% humidity, we'll switch to half inside and half outside air. You got to try to get rid of most of the humidity as soon as you can to get a good dry on these roots, because it means quite a bit when you go to bring them to market on the dry. We also have an exhaust fan that blows steady, just pushing the air out as fast as we can push it in. These bigger fans in the ends, and then we'll put the square fans, we'll wire square fans on each side. You get as much air moving as you can. It takes about 10 to 12 days to dry these roots in here. It all depends how big our harvest is, but we'll go, probably 8, 10 racks high, 7, 8 racks high in here. But the more you get in here, the harder it is to get rid of the humidity. You lose 2/3 of the weight from green to dry. And each rack in here will end up being around 90 pounds of dried ginseng. We're grading them out to try to get, some of them have what they call rusty root on them, a little bit of rot. So we're grading them all out, trying to get our product to look better. And these will be sellable also. They use them for grinding up and putting in capsules and whatnot. So everything is used, all the roots are used. Once it's harvested and dried and certified by the state of Michigan, then we bring it down to the Wausau area where there's 2 or 3 different brokers that will sell it for us. Years ago, we'd go down in that area and there'd be buyers all over the place, and we just drive around and sell that way. But now it's just, we're dealing with brokers. Some years our ginseng stays in the United States. For the last 2 or 3 years, it's went to California. And I think from there, in the Chinatown there, there's people that come there and buy small packages and actually bring it back to China. I got interested in ginseng. I used to read Fur Fish Game magazine when I was a teenager. I read every issue, but liked to trap and hunt. And ginseng was always in there. So one time, heading up to Marquette, there was a ginseng patch in Sands there. And one day I stopped in and talked to a gentleman named Ted Balzerini, and he got me started in ginseng. Me and my dad, and so we bought a few pounds of seed from him and started planting a small patch, and that was 35 or 36 years ago. And from there we kept planting and worked construction, and after about 5, 6 years, I think I started going full-time ginseng. My dad was starting to slow down, and I needed more help here in the springtime, getting all the roofs on, and then planting and harvesting is a lot of work. My brother joined us here 7, 8 years ago. We're both ginseng farmers, I guess, and he still works construction.
I work masonry construction with Gunlock Champion, and then the spring and the fall, we take a layoff and we keep, a couple months here to keep stuff going on the farm and get our berries picked and roots harvested. And, China grows their own ginseng over there, but the quality of the ginseng over here in America is way better than what they can grow, so that's basically why they prefer our ginseng. And when we sell it, it gets shipped over to China, and they'll package it into small packages and 1 root at a time. And
This is our 3rd annual show this year. We moved to the William Anderson Sports and Recreational Club. We had it at the Long Branch the last 2 years, and the show started to outgrow. So the Sportsman's Club helped us out this year. They helped us with our licensing and stuff in the facility. We've got classes from 1970 and older up to the 80s, and then we do have a classic class, up to 98, 99, we let them come in. We got a lot of different sleds here today, a lot of Yamahas, some Arctic Cats, lots of Polarises and stuff, a couple Skedaddlers, a mix of just about everything. That was around back then. I think at one time there was 130 some different manufacturers. Now we got 4. This year was kind of a tough year. One of our founding members, DJ Bryant, was killed in a car accident. So show was kind of hard to put on, but we pressed on for him. We had a pretty good turnout with changing the venue this year. We were doing our own food. We were having brats and hamburgers, and we had chili, and then the Sportsman's Club did breakfast this morning. Club really come together this year. This is my vice president, Brandon Street. He's one of the founding members also. He started it with DJ and I, and then Brian Swanson, he was also a founding member of it. We had a really good turnout. A lot of people came. We had people come from Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, down by Crivets and all over Marquette, Negaunee. Lots of very nice sleds showed up today. We were very happy with the turnout.
We support the Vulcan Relic riders. We're from Crivets, Wisconsin, and it's just great what they're doing here, where so many people get to come out and show off their vintage snowmobiles, and the sleds are cool, but it's about the people and the stories that really is a neat part of this whole vintage snowmobile world.
God, I think from the 1970s, started riding on Arctic Cat years and years and years ago, and then I kind of stepped up my game in the last 10 years, and I presently own about 72 snowmobiles. A lot of exotic, expensive race sleds, as you can see. I also have trail sleds, different makes. I'm mostly a Yamaha guy.
Yeah, there's so many sponsors that helped us out this year. I think we had 42 or 43 that came out and gave us bucket raffles and stuff. William Anderson Sportsman's Club, the Long Branch Saloon, Koch's Performance, Trails End Sausage, M&D Mobile, Kazi's Polaris out of Marinette. Normenco Sportsman's Club donated to us this year. They were nice enough to bring the groomer down for us for everybody to see. So now when we're done with this, we got to get going. We're going to do a benefit for DJ the first Saturday in February at the Long Branch. I know wherever he is, I'm pretty sure he's pretty happy with what's going on here today.
Well, that's it for this week. Be sure to check out 906outdoors.com, where you'll find the 906 Fishing Report, TV6 weather, shopping, and more. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next week, right here on Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.